Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look at XRP, see what's going on. We're at 203, basically retesting this local high. Generally speaking, you're more likely than not going to see a breakout to the upside because of this. We just got to recognize that Bitcoin is pumping for the moment. If it does slow down, we may see something a little different here for this coin, but the overall macro perspective is not great too. So we just got to be mindful that we're not out of the woods yet. I think if we were to continue to pump, we're probably going to start seeing some resistance with the previous low working as a new high around that 215 range. We'll talk about that and some important back-end liquidation data. In the meantime, thank you so much for being an amazing part of my life. Deeply appreciate my community members for some awesome congrats to them, as well as thank you for the feedback. 41% on Bitcoin there. We took a long from 79 to 83.5K, and then AVAX as well, 30% on that. That trade is still chugging. So what we're going to look at here is, is it worth taking a breakout trade on XRP, or if you're better off waiting? Usually breakout traders are statistically unsuccessful in non-bullish markets, and we're not in a bullish market yet, folks. So please understand that. So let's go and talk about liquidation, kind of go from there. First of all, 210 to 215, upwards of 220, a lot of shorts in that area. So distinct probability we will see the 215 to 220 range based on Bitcoin breaking tentatively bullish on the smaller time frames. A lot of maybe there might be a lot of continuation this weekend because everyone's like excited that tariffs are paused and we haven't had a Trump tweet for 48 hours. So at this point, just be mindful that 220 to 240 does have a lot of liquidation here, both locally and from a slightly larger perspective there. And that does incentivize the price to go higher. We also can see a bullish convergence here as well with liquidation delta in a sense, basically just confirming we have more longs than shorts. So you don't want to try to short against this. I know I spoke previously about considering a short at $2, but that ship has sailed because we had that magnificent pump a couple days ago when Trump basically told us that to buy now, and they paused the tariffs. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at there. And if we can see here, 193 to $2 is that lower support range here based on open interest, reinforcing that the likelihood of going down past 190 is fairly low. Okay, so that's good. But once more, from a macro scenario perspective here, if you exclude this outlier here, we're still establishing lower highs. Until that trend changes, we need to presume it's going to continue. It doesn't mean you're short right now. It just implies you want to be mindful not to just take a long, without any type of securing profits consideration. Right? Basically, the best way to describe it is if you're in a long right now, you should consider securing profits because it's super greedy to hold for too long in this market. That's kind of what I'm telling you. Either way, there's nothing on the daily time frame here that tells us we're shifting gears. If people are telling you that, hey, we got a MACD convergence on a daily time frame, go all in, I think they're probably a raging buffoon. Okay, because you can't take trades based on one indicator. You take trades based on a combination of a lot of different things. And in this case, the macro is still not in good shape. So please note, we get to the 220, 230 range, which is probably in the relative near future. We're going to see some resistance in this area, not only based on points of control, a lot of resistance based on volume, but more importantly, there's confluence there with moving averages, which are still above the price. 4-hour time frame, roughly a similar scenario here for most coins. In other words, most coins right now have broken bullish on the shorter time frames, this transitionary time frame, basically implying that the 20 and the 50-day SMA are below the price now. So further upside is much more probable at this point. I'm just hesitating to take a position because it's a Friday. I don't know if you know this, but statistically, we've seen 13 out of 14 red weekends this year. Okay, now not to say we can't change that dynamic, but it's a 93% chance that we go down this weekend. So please understand that the odds are kind of against you if you're taking a long into the weekend. Being a late long today is generally not a favorable trading strategy. Okay, hourly time frame is going to reflect that we are breaking bullish though. So please understand hourly and 4-hour time frames on pretty much all coins right now, including Bitcoin, are showing strength with further upside potential. Last but not least, Bitcoin is coming into its resistance range, but there's heavy liquidation above the price. I would not be surprised if we see a manipulative wick up to the 85 to 86K range. And if that happens, I'm absolutely going to short that. But once more, you don't just short in the blind. You want to wait for confirmation at this point. We are confirming on smaller time frames we're going to go up. Just please set some profit targets. Don't be a greedy person that dares to take this to $3 or $4. I think the probability of that is very low. Don't forget the market that we're in. We're in a greedy market. Well, actually, it's more like a fear-based market. That's why you want to buy in most cases. But it's greedy based on market makers. They're going to secure profits if the price keeps going up today. Okay, just know that. All right, folks, I'll post a playout chart in our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. It looks a little something like this if you're not familiar. And obviously, if you want to become a better trader, consider joining our Trading Academy community and signals group for access to these signals and a handful of other things. I appreciate you nonetheless. Thanks again for being an awesome part of my life. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.